When we picture a leader, our minds often default to the image of a commanding genius, the figure at the front of the room articulating a vision that everyone else is expected to execute. Decades of corporate media and political coverage have equated leadership with volume. We are trained to believe that the person dominating the conversation is the one holding the power. But as global markets grow more complex, that top-down dictatorial approach is becoming a liability. No single person can track every shifting variable in a modern economy. Leading primarily by speaking is often a sign of a brittle organization, one that lacks the internal sensors necessary to adapt to rapid change. We can see the results in massive companies that stalled because their executives stopped listening. The rot begins when a leader ignores market shifts or dismisses the direct warnings of their own frontline staff. Microsoft's lost decade serves as a case study for this. Prior to its current era, the company was defined by a siloed culture where internal competition and a lack of listening choked out innovation. The modern era of management favors a different approach. The most effective leaders in the current landscape are moving away from the loud command and control archetype. An organization's resilience now depends on what a leader is willing to hear, rather than what they are able to dictate. The origins of this modern shift are found 2,000 years ago at the southern tip of India. The Thirukkural is an ancient Tamil masterpiece of philosophy. Kural 389, specifically, outlines a law of leadership that remains relevant in the CEO era. The world stays under the protection of a leader who can tolerate words bitter to the ear. Human instinct is to silence critics and favor those who agree with us. Strategic leadership requires the opposite, actively seeking out the voices that challenge our assumptions. Tiruvalluvar defined patient listening as the active, sovereign trait that keeps the world securely under a leader's umbrella. Satya Nadella's tenure at Microsoft reflects this principle. He didn't rely on the high-volume mandates of his predecessors. Instead of immediate restructuring orders, Nadella began with a massive internal listening tour. He intentionally looked for the bitter words, the complaints about toxic culture, the frustrations of engineers, and the reality of failing products. He calmly absorbed these critiques without defensiveness. By absorbing complaints, a leader turns bitter words into an unfiltered diagnostic tool. This establishes psychological safety, signaling that truth matters more than ego, building trust across the connected teams. Nadella applied the core of Kural 389 to a trillion-dollar enterprise. The act of listening rewired the way the company functioned at its most basic level. This chart shows Microsoft's valuation over time. This massive upward curve aligns with a shift in processing internal information. The company transitioned from a rigid know-it-all environment to a collaborative learn-it-all ecosystem, turning internal feedback into an engine for growth. As we move toward 2026, this model is becoming a necessity. Artificial intelligence is rapidly commoditizing technical skills and routine management tasks. AI cannot empathize or navigate complex human feedback. The willingness to endure and act on uncomfortable truths is becoming a leader's most significant, unautomatable advantage. The difference between a leader who fails and one who thrives is their capacity to absorb uncomfortable truths without letting their ego interfere. The strategy driving this modern corporate shift aligns with the power laws set down in stone centuries ago. Power does not come from holding the microphone. The leaders who will shape the future are the ones who have mastered the sovereign art